Okay, well, thank you for coming today. My name is Bob Cannon. For those who don't know me, I'm the supervisor of Clinton Township. I will be introducing our staff as necessary so that you can get the proper information right from the horse's mouth. Before we start, I'd like to take a moment of silence for Turner Salter and his family. Turner's funeral is being held right now at Faith Baptist Church here in Clinton Township. It's a very caring church community, a very caring minister, but it's a very sad day for all. Thank you. I'd like to start by thanking our public service departments, police and fire, EMS. Everybody has been fabulous. Surrounding communities, thank you for what you've done. We do it for them, they do it for us. It works out well for all of us. For anyone who wants to see this again, this will be on YouTube. Our own cable channel is filming it, so it's available to anybody here or anybody in the community. And with that, I'd like to start with Paul Brower, who is our Emergency Management Controller, to talk about
Morning. Thank you for being here. Mr. Brower, I'm the emergency coordinator. This south has been secured with both public and private security. We have one of our police officers stationed there 24 hours a day, making sure that the scene is secure. There is, in one corner of the building where there was a major collapse, there's still some burning there, and every once in a while it flares up. Fire department until they get in there with the heavy equipment and start taking it over. My next note here. Conditions and the scene site. I want to emphasize again, if you don't go out looking for those canisters. It's not worth anything, and they're harmful if they happen to compromise from the heat. If you put them in your garage or something, and summer comes along and it gets up in the garage or whatever, they could explode. If you find one, call that number, 586 5502. It's they will take the information and get it to us. Like I said, the scene is safe. We have some good news from the EPA out. We had a virtual meeting with them on Wednesday. They came out yesterday and viewed the site, and it appears that they will be giving us assistance, and Mary Bednar in Township Public Services will be expounding on that just a little bit. Our goal right now is to try to get the area cleaned up as much as possible. From what I understand, already people out in the neighborhoods rechecking what we've checked to make sure they can get the debris and get it back to store it into a safe place. We want to get everybody back to normal as soon as possible. There's a lot of damage to the buildings that has to be repaired, and most of the businesses are taking care of that themselves, but it continues to be a major event. Want to also make sure that we give you good information. We all want the truth. Nobody's trying to hide anything. We want to get to the bottom of this as soon as possible as well, looking at what the cause and origin of this fire was. And obviously we know pretty much what made it continue to the magnitude that it did. But that will come out in the investigation, and that takes time. So if you don't have any questions, I'll yield back.
Thanks, Paul. We will find out through our investigation what happened, and somebody will be held accountable. The site is not safe. We have people that are going out there and picking up materials, as Mr. Brower mentioned, Scrappers, we don't want you. Nothing good can come from that other than a few pennies you're going to get at the scrapyard. So please stay away. All the
We remain on site throughout the last few days, intermittently throughout those days. Pretty much for everybody's knowledge, that night with the equipment we had on there with our department and our surrounding departments, we estimated that evening alone through the night over 1.3 million gallons of water was placed on that. So we've been out there the last few days for probably estimated between 4 and 6 hours. So we're probably pushing well over 2 million gallons. The major issue we have, as was discussed, is obviously the structural steel. You can only imagine how heavy that is. Obviously, heavy equipment's going to have to get in there to start picking that apart so we can get to the bottom of what's going on there during the investigation, and obviously do some more fire suppression at that scene. There have been some questions in the area from some of the businesses, some of the people about air quality between ourselves and EPA. We've been walking the site. We've been going into the surrounding buildings, the businesses, to guarantee that air quality for them is good. And that's turned out well amongst everything from that. So just as a point of personal privilege and some information, just want to say how thankful I am, proud to be part of this team. There's been a lot of meetings going on over here in this conference room, out on the site. This is a group of people just dedicated to the safety and security of the community, first responders on the scene. It's been exceptional. Been a lot of back and forth, some tough questions being asked by us, but just the professionalism, everything, the willingness of the partnership has been incredible. Look around the building, it's not just these people here, it's everybody that's part of this community. The township, our DPW, fire department, police department, everybody that came together to guarantee this moving forward. So rest assured, everything is being done by this community to make sure that we, obviously get this thing under control and a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. You have provided excellent leadership all throughout. I'm going to ask our Fire Marshal, Chuck Champagne, to talk about the 4 agencies that will do the investigation together once the fire is out, once it's safe for them to get in. So, Chuck, talk about the timing.
Hello, my name is Chuck Champagne. I'm the Fire Marshal for the Clinton Township Fire Department. The scene is secure, as we've said. It's been secure since the fire was placed under control, and it will be secured until the investigation is complete. The team of experienced fire investigators is being assembled, comprised of Clinton Township Fire Department, Clinton Township Police Department, the ATF, the Michigan State Police, and private investigators. We are currently in the information gathering phase, which is the beginning phase. This process is going to take some time. We'd like to think that we could start the investigation sometime next week. There's a process and a scientific procedure that we follow in fire investigation, and this team that's being assembled will focus on getting that right. So until the investigation is complete, the standard line applies. This fire is currently under investigation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chuck. Police Captain Anthony Capella, would you tell us what the police department has done up to this point?
Thanks, Mr. Cannon, for allowing me the opportunity to speak to the community. The police department is, the Clinton Township Police Department is appearing in a supportive role, assisting the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the Michigan State Police, as well as our Clinton Township Fire Department investigators. At this time, we're maintaining the security of the surrounding areas of the fire scene, and are answering the call to whatever our fire partners and ATF partners and MSP partners need of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And the big news for today is going to come from Mary Bednar, because we've been working hard to get the EPA involved. They are now involved. She's going to tell you what their involvement is and how much more they're coming our way today.
Thank you, Supervisor Cannon. I'm Mary Bednar. I'm the Director of Public Services here in Clinton Township. Before I get into those details, I want to emphasize, please check your property for debris and damage. If you find some, call 586-469-5502 and report that so that we can help you out. You can also go to our website, and on the very top there is an alert. You can click on that link and you can fill out a self-reporting damage survey, which would also give us information. But please let us know where there's damage and debris so we can help you. The debris is made up mainly of metal canisters of various sizes. They may be sharp and dangerous to handle, so please do not handle them or move them. Again, call that number, 586-469-5502. Clinton Township DPW did an initial pickup on Tuesday in the residential areas. It consisted of picking up the front yards and the road rights-of-way. That pickup area that we focused on was Garfield to Gratiot, 16 Mile Road or Metro Parkway to 14 Mile Road. That was where our emphasis is. We've continued to work with county, state, and federal agencies regarding the debris management. The Environmental Protection Agency has been engaged and is working directly with the township to handle these operations. Today, EPA is on site and has begun the process of collecting potential contaminated fire debris and other hazardous substances, including vape pens and lithium batteries. EPA has also mobilized a high hazard specialist team to engage the damaged and intact cylinders that are on site and around adjacent properties. EPA is assessing the community surrounding the site for potential contaminated fire debris. So again, what's important for the community to know and to reach out is if you see any of this debris or any of these cylinders, please call 586-469-5502 or go to our website and click that top public safety alert banner and fill out the self-reporting survey. Thank you.
So it's a big deal. We had 10 EPA members join us yesterday, and we believe we're going to have another 10 today, so we will have 20 of them working pretty much all day long, every day until it's clean, and we're very grateful for that. Safety is still the most important thing that we're working with. We don't know exactly what happened, but we will. But we do know that there are knives out there that opened up during the explosion, that flew through the air. And I saw somebody go pick one up the other day and take it, put it in a bag and take it home. Again, that's dangerous. Please don't do things like that. I was talking to Prosecutor Pete Lucido. He has his major crime unit ready to work with our police department when it comes time. It's not time yet. It's not time. But he stands ready. His top of his list are 3 people that are going to help Clinton Township PD. And there is no change with our building department. There is no change with our planning department. So if you have questions of them from the past, that's fine. But with that, we'll take questions about what we talked about today.
Can you clarify on the scene to the layperson? Right, starts next week. If you can come up. Are you simply not able to walk in that area?
That'll come in next week. The area investigators going to be a long process, going to be ongoing. The scene to cool before
pretty safely be smoldering and still doing this kind of weighted out process, or give them timeline if you can?
we've been out there on a daily basis applying water to it. And did you want to touch base on that aspect of operations?
Sure. So we're hopeful, obviously, with the rain coming, we're Had some decent rain over today and tomorrow. That should keep the smoke suppressed. Obviously, I told you over probably 2 million gallons of water already being placed on it. It's going to totally put it out until we get that steel pulled off. But we certainly think the weather is going to play in our favor for the next few days. What we've had done is one of our other investigators, along with our battalion chiefs, go out there throughout the days, evaluate what they're seeing. If we think it's starting to get a little bit too much, we're deploying our engines over there, or our ladder truck, and putting water on it. We certainly want to make sure that the community, understands that we're looking out for the safety concerns of them. Part of this, unfortunately, is we still have the rest of the community to serve, so we have to kind of deploy as needed, because certainly there's still medical calls going on, other fire calls, accidents, incidents like that. So it's been difficult this week. We're still I had to hit the ground running this morning trying to do the rest of the business that's going on. Pattern, so.
On his note, just following up on that, yourself, Chief, or the Marshal can speak to this. We were talking about like a scientific procedure. I think you've already kind of alluded to it a little bit. You got to remove the steel. Can you walk us through like what you're up against? We know there's a lot of hazardous chemicals there. What you're anticipating, what you're looking for, if we can get a sense, a little bit of a timeline for next week.
Yeah, like I previously mentioned, it might be a process of removing steel, letting the area cool down, applying water, moving in and out of the area, shutting things down until we can make sure the area cools. The scientific procedure is a procedure all investigators follow. It's a methodology, many layers of it. We're all versed in that, and we'll be able to conduct a thorough investigation.
Well, since there's a lot of interest, can you shed a little bit of light on what that methodology is, like what you guys are going to be doing out there, what your team will be looking for?
We're going to get together and discuss that, so I'll be able to share that with you at a later date.
Are there still explosions?
No, we have not experienced any explosions in the last few days. Certainly the potential is there. There are canisters that have a much thinner metal with butane in it that they're concerned about. That's the primary concern from the people on scene. Rest assured, even though the on-scene investigation has not happened, there are pieces moving in every direction every hour of the day to uncover the other parts of it. So obviously, like, we're in a world of cameras, video, that's being obtained by the police department. There's interviews that are going on. So certainly that's part of what the ATF, our people, the police department, the Michigan State Police will be looking at. All that video paints a picture for them. So we have a general good idea of where the initial focus is going to be based upon what we've seen. Obviously, part of an investigation, that is not going to be shared probably for some time, but certainly we're comfortable we have the best of the best that have reached out to us and are partnering with us. So when you know that the ATF is on scene and their people, I've been amazed by the personnel from the EPA, the EPA, the ATF, Michigan State Police, our people. It's been incredible. So we're very fortunate that they're reaching out to Clinton Township and coming on scene for us.
More explosions, or are there some canisters that are probably in there that?
Obviously, that's a major concern. And talking with the representative from the ATF the other day, that's one of the big things, a little bit of a delay, to make sure we got the right equipment to come and see. And so they're reaching out to their people to see, our governmental partners, what's the proper piece of equipment we can get there. Obviously, you're going to have somebody that needs to operate it, that has that ability to, so this is not something you just go to your local person with a backhoe or a front end loader and go, hey, come on over here and start pushing this stuff around. That's why it's a little bit of delay of the process. So I'm sure everybody understands.
Are officials in contact with the business owner? Can you provide a little bit of color as to the nature of those conversations?
Certainly. So obviously from day one, we had our police department on scene with those people, getting them to safety, providing some input for that. Obviously our fire personnel have been out there daily, trying to give updates, trying to guide them on what's happening. Certainly everybody in the area wants to keep their businesses open. We're trying as hard as we can to assist them with that. We think they should help be up and running here shortly. But certainly we're looking from the safety standpoint. We're trying to ask them to stand down from up on the roofs and dealing with any of these unspent cartridges.
How about the owners of the select distributors
Oh.
and View?
That, there'd be a no comment at this point. Just too many things moving with that.
Have you tallied the damages, the extents? Is there a dollar figure associated with that?
So that's still incoming, and I'm sure our emergency manager can talk to that. There is on the website an ability for people in the community, if they've incurred damage, to put that, to let us know about it. Local state of emergency was declared the other day by Supervisor Cannon. That's going on to, I believe, the 13th of next week. Individually, as our departments, we have to provide our damage estimate and the cost of this. So that's all part of the process. We're going through, and that's pretty much what the state requires for us to kind of make some claims on that. So really need to get us that information quick as they possibly can. We've reached out to our communities that came into the fire that night to supply us with their information because there was damage to some of their apparatus that night.
Have officials checked at other properties that the business owners of this property might operate in the township or in the county?
I believe that's for future discussion. Rest assured, yeah, things are being looked at. So, yeah.
Have you been able to find out why these materials were there? Meaning what they were doing with them? Were they just storing them? Were they in use somehow in the business? And the volume of what you had there, do you have any idea?
We, at this point, do not have an understanding of why that was there. Certainly, it should not have been, but we're still part of the investigation. The police department is top-notch with this stuff, and what they're able to do is impressive. So, more to come.
I don't mean to be flippant in asking it this way, but if we're told the business is being cooperative, I'm sure you guys have asked them that. They haven't shared with you what they were doing with this stuff there, or how is it still not clear what they had going on there?
Let Tony answer that.
Yeah.
Tony?
Pardon me for asking, sir, but do you mind repeating your question?
I'm just trying to, and I ask it with respect. I don't mean to be
Certainly.
disrespectful with it, but if we're told the business owners are cooperative,
They are.
and I'm sure you guys have asked multiple days ago what they had there, volume, what they were doing with it, but yet it still seems unclear as to what we had going on there with these materials.
Certainly. The Clinton Township Police Department provided our facilities for interviews to occur with the owners. The members of the ATF and our fire staff investigation team were the ones that conducted the interviews, and any release of any information that came about from those interviews would really be improper for release at this time.
I have one last one, and I'll be done at least. But when we talk about the outside investigation, just to clarify, if we're not sending somebody in with like a backhoe, or you guys aren't physically walking it yet, what is happening? How do you go in and ascertain where the hot spots are? Are there still people poking, walking around, prodding around in there? Or what you physically are doing?
So obviously, you're just getting a view of the site. You know, obviously, we're able to get a little bit closer than the general public. You can see the smoke rising from that have been focused for us, and they're on basically the west side of the building. So certainly, we kind of get an understanding of looking at it. We've actually had our apparatus probably very close to the scene the last couple of days. So we're targeting those two areas, and we can see the smoke emanating from that. So that directs us to where we want to focus our efforts.
But you're physically not in there yet.
Physically, safety's paramount. Back, and like I said, the experts will be here and on scene next week to assist us with that.
Thank you.
You know, Chief, we were talking on Tuesday right across from lack of damage to the windows or even the roof, yet this victim dies a quarter-mile away. You know, his funeral is today. Is there anything you'd like to say about, I mean, there's a lot that this young kid is killed, in this fire when, right across the street, that building did suffer a ton of damage. Can you just talk about that at all? I know we were kind of talking about it on Tuesday, but we know a little bit more now.
Well, certainly, when you look back at the scene, it's one of those things when we get a chance to stop with our meetings and just personally digest it all. unbelievable that other people weren't injured, that there weren't more deaths. There certainly should have been more, more injuries, more possible deaths on that scene. How we managed to get through it, I can't answer that for you. There was something looking out for us that day, someone looking out for us. It's hard for me to digest. I've been doing this for 25 years, and just the fact that fortunately for me, fortunately for our fire department, all their medical personnel on scene, that we managed through it, because everybody was looking up. You're outside of the apparatus, you're sitting there, you're on the ground, you're within probably 100, 150 yards of the place, and it's raining down around you. I think Captain Pola said it the best the other day, just, as far as you got shrapnel, missiles coming towards you. Put yourselves in harm's way at times, but I don't think we ever anticipated. Yeah, it's unbelievably sad, and that's what we try to tell the public is, I'm sure that young man thought he was at a safe distance. Obviously it didn't turn out to be that way. One of our officers was about the equal distance down the other side of the road, dealing with something at one of the gas stations. He looked up and thought he was in a safe distance, and now you start looking at the two sides, and obviously, and our personnel that for hours at a time there. I'm proud of our personnel. Our battalion chief, Matt Chernovsky, exhibited is second to none. He did a wonderful job, and he put us in a great place that night. As we're able to, once we when our partners Warren and all the other places that were over there were helping us. So just an unbelievable feeling that we made it through it. So.
And Bob, is there anything talking about that young victim?
Animal that's been injured or has died as a result of this either. Although some in backyards were rolling around in the soot and people didn't like it until it rained, the soot was there. But that's all I've heard about. So yeah, it's a horrible thing for our community. We're lucky to have people that can do what they're doing and departments that do what they do so that we can find out what's going on. And I know you're asking questions about how are we going to get in there? How are we going to, we're not going to go in there until it's safe. I'm not going to let one of these people step foot in there until we can guarantee that there won't be any injuries or fatalities to our staff. I'm sorry, could you say? For what they were doing. No, they had approval to sell just like you would a normal store. It's a commercial business. They had permission to do. So they were doing things. But they were doing things they shouldn't have been doing, or they were planning to do things they shouldn't have been doing. So we don't know that yet, but they will. Once they get in there and investigate, they'll figure it out.
What level of zoning would they have to have those containers on site?
Barry Miller from our building department.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, what level of zoning would they have to have in order to have those containers on site?
The zoning really is irrelevant in the storage of items in a when you, I don't want to go too far into it, but basically there's 3 levels of storage you can have in buildings. It's S1, S2, and then hazard. So there's 3 different levels. There's a low hazard, moderate hazard, and then once you exceed moderate hazard, you go to an H, which is a whole different category for storage, explosion. Once they start bringing materials that we're seeing laying around everywhere, they would have clearly went into the H category. The building would have had to have been built completely different.
What was that last inspection?
I don't have the date in front of me, it was September 20th, 22 is the last inspection for the occupancies. I gave that on the last report. I don't remember the exact date.
There's been some movement I've been reading online in Lansing to ban nitrous oxide, that this is a dangerous chemical, or at least how young people might be ingesting it or what it leads to. Do you on kind of efforts right now to keep folks safe?
Nitrous oxide?
Right.
Tony, do you have anything? Or
I can speak on that.
go ahead.
So nitrous oxide, and I applaud the Michigan State Legislature for the result of this incident, but nitrous oxide is predominantly used in small quantities in food service and medical use. Exploding into using for, I don't know if I can say illegal reasons, but for improper reasons. And that's, I think, that what they're trying to get a handle on.
If it was banned, would this have been, I mean, obviously we were in investigations underway, they may not have, should not have had that stuff in the building, but if it was banned, could this have somewhat been prevented when it comes to what they were allowed to store in the first place?
That's a very difficult
That's a difficult question to answer.
If they're bringing things in under cover of darkness and we don't know about it, why would they behave simply because somebody passed a law? But again, we don't know that. That's why we're going to be going slow. It will take a long time to get through this investigation. That site will be there until they do it the way they want to, safely. And again, that's the number one thing for us, is for our residents and our businesses, is safety and our employees. And I think there's only one business closed today, by the way, the Burger King in the area. People were asking about that. We think everybody else is open. But that's on them. They decide if they want to open or not. That's their decision.
Bob, before we wrap, can you address financial considerations? I don't know, with the EPA involvement, not only for the township to maybe recoup some funding, but residents who might have had damaged rooftops, businesses, et cetera. Is there a process or a potential in place to get
Yes.
financial relief?
The answer is yes. Mary, you want to explain again?
You said it and I was taking pictures, but I just want to make sure what is or isn't happening.
You have the ability to get some money for you.
But possible.
The township did declare a local emergency, so there are definitely different measures that can take. So we are, as every department here is gathering information, our time, our material. There are several different locations we can go. EPA has come in, and but the first thing that they do is you go after the property, and then from there, the legal process steps in. So
Just because they're here to.
they go at this.
There's two types of assistance. There's individual assistance and there's public assistance. Individual assistance is usually not provided. So if you have insurance, you own an insurance company, if you have a hole in your roof, you have claim and you have it repaired. Your insurance company then can look at if there's a possible. We don't have the money to pay for it. What we have to do is meet certain criteria, and even Section 19 of Public Act 390, we have to hit 30% of a department's budget before we can even qualify for that. So that's why we have to keep track of all of our expenses, all of our stuff, and information to us, and we only have a week. We have to get those preliminary figures in within a week, unless the board extends the. It's probably not going to happen because we're not under an emergency any longer. We have things as far as public safety is concerned. We're pretty much back to normal, except the side runs over there to address that as it comes along. It's a very complicated, and everybody thinks, oh, the government's here, they're going to open up their purses. It doesn't work that way. It's a process we have to go through, and hopefully, the EPA didn't bring a pocketbook for us. They brought a books for the people that are going to clean this up, so we don't have to pay it, and that's huge. I mean, this would have gone on, if we'd had to do this ourselves, it would have gone on for months, and we don't have the equipment or the ability to store that stuff. So once you start picking it up, you own it, and then you have to pay to have it disposed of. So this EPA thing is really huge for all of us.
Has the fire department been called to this location before?
Beg your pardon?
The fire department been called to this location before?
I don't have that information.
Our chief can answer that, I believe. I don't remember.
From what our understanding is, we had not. So we'd have to research that, but this was not a location that we went to for a medical call, any prior fire call, in that essence. And that would generally be the two reasons why we'd be called. No, for sure. They actually had numerous drones up the night of the fire, got some, I'm sure as you've seen, some excellent footage of it. Obviously, some of that will be used as part of the investigation. The police department has remained over the course of the last few days having theirs up in the air. You know,
The funding that the EPA is bringing is for to pay their contractors to clean this up. They're not giving us any money.
What's the funding level that
I have no idea. It's a federal budget, and they, you know, probably pretty deep pockets because they want this stuff cleaned up.
Thank you.
If you see anybody walking around with yellow jackets on, that's them. Welcome them into your neighborhoods because we want them to clean it up, and they will. Again, we probably will have about 20 individuals working under you, Mary, starting this afternoon. We have 10 right now. We'll have another 10 from the federal government.
Is it illegal for people to pick up these fragments and containers, bring them home?
Today, you could have than you could with a knife. I would encourage people, please don't pick it up. It's not safe. Especially if you have a child, don't let them get near it, or your animals.
Thank you. Thanks for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you.